Hey everybody, what's up again? Mr. Fleischman, Shorewood High School AP Computer Science. This particular video is for my class in particular. It's a solution video for an assignment we had, but you are welcome if you're out there watching this and you're a Java learner to kind of try these as we go. Maybe pause the video and see what your solutions are. This is all about the methods that strings can perform and kind of manipulating strings and processing them and doing things with them and learning about them. So we have this assignment called string methods challenges. Okay, so maybe this would be a good time to pause the video and try maybe the first couple of challenges. I'm going to quickly as I can show you the solutions to these challenges and then show you the outputs I was hoping for, as part of your final solution. Okay, so let's do these one by one. Challenge one should be pretty much a layup. Let's see. Write a method that takes a string parameter and returns the second half of the string. Okay, that's going to be pretty easy. I'm going to call this one challenge one. Okay, so it's a public static, returns, think about that, returns the second half of the string. I'm going to return a string. Public static string, I'll call this challenge one. And it said it took a string parameter. Okay, I'm just going to call the string str. Okay, so whatever someone passes in, it'll be called str. So I just want the second half of the string. So the second half of the string, I'm just going to let's do a little sample here. S-A-M-P-L-E. Okay, this is into index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The length is 6. Okay, so for an even numbered length, let's see, the second half of sample is from 3 onward. Okay? But I don't want to just take, so here's what some of the problem was from the submissions I was seeing, is that people had a word in mind that they wanted to use, and they were like, cool, I got it, watch this. I'm going to return str.substring 3, right? Not 2, and I wanted just 3. Well, this is great for you, right? Because it works for your string, right? Any string that has a length of 6, the substring from 3 will return you the second half of the string, but this isn't robust enough. It can't handle any other lengths, right? So it can't simply just be 3, right? Well, let's see. How about this? What if I did samples, sample space? I don't know. I'm just trying to make up a word. Here we go. What's this length? Well, I added 5 more letters, so obviously the length is 11. So this is index 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I guess I have to kind of like decide what the second half of the string is. For an odd number, I think I told you guys in class, and I probably should have put this in the document. The second half of an odd number would be from, it would be from right before halfway on. So E space right there, right? So I have to split it up into 6 here and then 5 from the beginning. Maybe your teacher or whatever would ask you to do something else. But this is what I'm going to consider the second half of the string. The middle plus the rest. So that would be for the substring from 5 on, right? So this whole substring 3 solution doesn't work. Essentially what you have to do is take the length of the string, right? So I need to take the length of the string and divide it by 2 to find the halfway index. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say that the int called the halfway index is going to be the string's length divided by 2. Okay, so what is 11 divided 2 in Java? 11 divided 2 in Java is actually 5, right? Because how many times can 2 fit cleanly into 11 without going over? 5. So that would give us the halfway index is 5, and that's correct. What about for the old one? What about when it was like back to just sample? Is this going to work? Okay, I might have to split this video into 2. Because I'm getting very wordy. The halfway index is the length divided by 2. Let's see, 6 divided by 2, that's 3, and that gives me the proper index. Okay, so the halfway index is the length divided by 2. And so then I guess the second half of the string, is going to be, it's going to be the string, the original string, substring, and the index that I want is, by the way, I'm just going to use the substring version with just one parameter, and I want the halfway index. And that's going to be my answer. that's going to, once I'm done, that's the second half of the string. It's my string, the substring from the halfway index, which I calculated earlier. Then I just return the second half of string. Okay, so pause here for a second because I'm about to do this in a lot shorter of a way. Okay, you might be looking at this going, whoa, 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 I did this in one line. Okay, I probably would too if I were you. Remember, when I do it this way, when I do things this way, I'm trying to break it down into pieces so that people can understand it a little more than just a one-line craziness, okay? So I found the halfway index by cutting the string in half, the length in half. Then I said the second half of the string is the string, the original string, substring beginning at the halfway index. And then I said, okay, now that I've found the second half of string, I can just return it, okay? So I guess optionally, you could have said the one-line solution is to return str.substring str.length divided by 2. Okay, and that's also okay, right? So you guys see how that's all the same information, right? This is just the halfway index, isn't it? Right? See how that lines up? This is just the string substring from the halfway index, and then we're returning it all in one line. This is the one-line solution. Okay. Hopefully you guys can kind of do it this way if you have to break it down into pieces. Sometimes it actually looks better this way too. Maybe not in this case, but in other ones. Okay. How about this? I'm going to break this video into 2 pieces because I've already talked about problem 1 for way too long. And now I need to format my answer. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a string called S1. String 1, str1. How about this? I'm going to make an str1. And then I'm going to call it, I'm going to say, okay, classic Fleischmann, Huskies reference. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to format my answer and then make a call to my method, right? So I'm going to say the second half of my string, then I'm going to say is, and then I'm going to call my method challenge1 on my str, on my string, right? There we go. I forgot my semicolon here. So I made a string, a sample string that I can use, and then I kind of report what my method does. The second half of the string I just made is, and then I call challenge1 on the string that I just made, and it should return the second half of the string according to the logic I just have here. Okay, so let's check it out. Let's run it. Oops. What did I do? Oops, that's called chalsenj1. That's not what I named the method. Second half of Husky football rules is T-ball rules. That was actually an accident, but that's cool. T-ball does rule. It's a lot funner than baseball, especially once the ball starts moving and curving and they're throwing like 90 miles an hour. How about challenge 2? A little bit, let's see, a little bit more here. Challenge 2, write a method that takes a string parameter and an int parameter that will return the char at the position n within the string str. Oh my gosh. This is essentially the char at method packaged up into our own method. This is ridiculous. Okay, why did I have you do this? I don't know. I wanted to give you something to kind of work with. Okay, how about this? Public static. It returns, what did it say? It returns a char. Okay, so I'm going to say public static char. I'm going to call this challenge 2. And then what were the parameters? I said I needed to take a string, str, and an int, n. Okay, so look at this. Okay, I gave you guys exactly what to call these. A string parameter str and an int parameter n. So here's what kind of was getting me a little concerned about when I walked around and saw people doing these in class. They felt like because they named the parameter up here something like str, that they weren't allowed to name it str down here. That's not the case, okay? The scope of this variable str is what? From here to here. That means it's dead after that, and its name can be reused, okay? The scopes won't interfere with each other. You don't have to call this one something str2a and str2b and stuff like that. Just call all the string parameters str. It's really easy. We don't have to like change their names because the scope is different, right? This one has a new scope. It's allowed to be called the same thing. Okay, anyway. So what are we going to do? This method simply asks you to find the char at position n and then return it. Okay, well, okay, fine. Let's do that. Let's call this the char. The char, the answer, is going to be the strings char at the index that was passed in. Wow. Okay, that's it. Yeah, that's it. The char, or the answer I'm looking for, is the string that was passed in char at n. So they're going to give you like a whatever. You have to make sure and give a valid index. You can't do something that's out of bounds. How about this? I'm going to return the answer. Could I have done this in one line? Yes. One-liner would be like this. What's it going to look like? The one-liner looks like return str.char at n. Okay, that's the one-line solution. Okay? But I wanted you guys to see that you could capture a char using the char at and then return it as an answer. Okay? I'm going to do the long answers because I feel like they can look more clear to some people. If you have a one-line solution, you're probably understanding it better than the people who want these longer answers. So I trust you to test yourself out that way and make sure your method performs like it should. Okay, I'm going to make another string just for fun. I'm going to call it str2. How about this? Okay, Stanford's going down. And then I'm going to make an int called n or something like that. How about index? And how about the index? I need to pick an index that's going to be somewhere in here, but I bet the number 12 is in here. Okay, so here's the deal. I can say the within the string. Actually, I'm going to all caps this real quick just to make it more clear. I really hope Stanford's going down because the Huskies play them tomorrow night. This string, with the string str2, okay, the character at position index that I made, that little index that I made, right? Because remember I made this index. It'll say 12. Is, and then I'm going to call challenge 2. And because I'm running out of space, I'm just going down here. Challenge 2. And remember what kind of parameters challenge 2 needs? It needs a string and an int. And the string that I made for this is str2. And the int that I made is called index. Okay? So here's the thing. I don't want you guys to, I said this in the last video I made. Look at this. This is called str2 here, but down here it's called str. Is that a problem? No, it's okay. It's just that when we pass in str2, which is right here, when it gets into this method, it'll just be known as str. Okay? It's just like a new name for it in this local scope. Index, that's not called n. That's a problem? No. Okay. Is it an int? Yes, it is. So when I pass in index, which happens to be 12, it means that n will be now 12 in this method. Okay? So these don't have to line up. We don't need to get crazy with our parameter names. Okay, let's say. Within the string, Stanford is going down. The character at position 12 is G. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I believe it. There it is. There's the 12th character. Well, it's the 13th, but it's at index 12. All right. Are we happy? Okay. How about challenge 3? Challenge 3 says, write a method that takes a string parameter with leading and trailing spaces and returns a new string with no leading or trailing spaces. Oh my gosh. Okay. Fine. This is another one of those that simply is a one-liner, or it's very much like number 2. It just says, do you know how to use a certain method? Okay, public static. It said it was going to return a string, so I'm going to call this challenge 3. And all it does is just take a string parameter called str. Look, I used str again. Is that a problem? Do I need to call this str3? No, it's okay because remember, there's a new scope. All these other strs have their own scope. They don't interfere with each other. It's okay. The scopes don't overlap, so you're okay. So I'm going to say, all right, I need to be able to take the answer. So my answer is going to be the result of taking the string parameter and then trimming it. Okay, so there's a method called trim. By the way, this removes leading and trailing white space. Okay, turns out that this is actually really important for like processing files and things like that. If you use Java to like read files and things like that, and then you want to clean them up, trim can be really nice. Anyway, moving on. There's our answer, and I just return it. I keep on doing the it. I did that last video too. Return my answer. Okay, of course the one-liner is what? If you want to do it as a one-liner, return str.trim. It's almost like trivial, right? I wish I would have come up with something cooler. But yeah, essentially you just trim it. Remember, the str trim method will return a version of the str string with no leading or trailing white space. That new string is stored as answer, and then I just return that answer. I could have done it as a one-liner. Return the result of str trim, which is going to be a string. So let's go ahead and do it. How about let's make a new one? I'm going to separate these out. I can do this. I can kind of like visualize what's going on here. A string str3. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to give it some leading and trailing white space. Too much space. Too much white space. Too much white space. There you go. And essentially what I'm going to do is sys out. I'm going to say the string str3, which I just made, without all the white space before and after is, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did in the line above because I'm running out of space. Come down here and call challenge 3. On what string? I'm going to call challenge 3 on str3. There you go. Let's see. There it is. Look at the string too much white space without all the white space before and after is too much white space. That's it. Okay, just removed all that leading and trailing white space. All right, that's challenge 3. Let's do one more on this video, and then I'll do the 5 through 8, which are probably the harder ones later. Okay, ready? Write a method that takes a string parameter and returns the same string but all in lowercase. Ugh. You guys probably saw this one. It goes. It's another one of these that it's like a one-line. It's very much like challenge 2 and challenge 3. Okay, hopefully these ones were kind of confidence builders, I hope. Okay, so public static string challenge 4, and it takes a string parameter called str. Look at, again, I can use str, a brand new scope, right? All the scopes are independent, so I don't need to get creative with these parameter names. All right, so my answer is a version of the string. My answer is just the version of string to lowercase. It's that easy. Okay, so anytime you want a string to lowercase, you take str dot to lowercase. It will take a version of str, make it all lowercase, and then give it back to you. Okay. By the way, I just want to make sure you guys know this doesn't actually change the value of the string. It will return you a new string that's all lowercase, and it leaves str untouched. Does that make sense? Same with trim and anything else that we do with strings. You're not actually changing the string. You're coming back with a copy that's maybe modified. Like this one's going to be a copy of str that's all lowercase, and we can store it in an answer. Okay, we're going to return answer. Okay, the one-liner is, one-liner says return str dot to lowercase. If you're kind of a one-liner kind of person. There you go. That's it. All right. Remember, str remains unchanged in here. So I just want to make sure you guys remember that technicality. Ready? Here we go. Let's make a new one. Ready? String. This is challenge 4, so I'm going to say string 4 is going to be wacky uppercase word. Okay, there you go. I don't know. Whatever. So then I'm going to do this. I'm just going to make sure that I have something that I can actually see that it changes. So that's why I randomly capitalize some of that stuff. The string str4 in all lowercase is the result of calling challenge 4, which I just made, on my string that I just made, right? The string wacky uppercase word, all in lowercase, is wacky uppercase word. Look at that. And look at it, it leaves the exclamation marks untouched. It doesn't really bother with those, which is common sense, I suppose. Yeah, there we go. That's challenge 4. I'm going to leave this one as is. Hopefully 1 through 4 felt like pretty easy for you. The 5 through 8, we're going to have to kind of break it down a little more, and you guys are going to appreciate these sort of step-by-step solutions inside the method. Let's call it good for this one, and I'll check you guys in just a few minutes on 5 through 8. Talk to you soon.